balls.
Yeah. We've lost the ball and we don't even know what court it's in. Any hoozle.
Hockey fight at a basketball game.
That's right. Go Stars.
And then the house of cards will tumble like dominoes. Checkmate.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Warm-ups.
And with that, it's time to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
I'm J-Lo.
And we're coming live to you from the bunker in parts unknown.
The Funk Bunker.
That's right. Today, we're going to be covering H.G. Wells, we think. We'll see.
Nah. See, we were going to cover H.G. Wells, but, well, basically, ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between at home, just give this a quick listen.
I'm going to talk about the greatest problem mankind has.
Yeah, so you see, like, there's no fucking way we could have, like, just kept listening to that.
This guy sounds like a fucking nerd, man.
Yeah, he sounds like a goddamn cartoon character.
So in lieu of that, it looks like we're going to have to pick somebody else. And out of the hat, we've already selected. Here it goes.
That was supposed to be a drum roll.
And a hat.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah, I know. It looks like we have one George Orson Welles.
My second favorite Wells.
There you go. In fact, maybe...
HG not being the first.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not being quite related, but distant cousins?
There are some, there's good enough tangential connectoids between these two men, that's for certain. The most prominent one coming to mind, Martians, which we'll get into. So, talking about Martians later. Wells, what are we going to be covering today? We're going to be talking about Orson Welles. We're going to be talking about art in general. We're going to be talking about Citizen Kane, definitely. You know, it's his most well-known work. We're going to be talking about...
F is for fake.
Yeah, oh man. Good flick.
Going to be talking about some famous ladies.
Yeah. And some less than reputable folk that our old subject has come across.
Yeah, Orson Welles used to smash it back in the day. I mean, which just goes to show, like, it really doesn't matter what you look like as long as you're a genius.
Yeah, he left building materials everywhere he went, apparently.
Yeah, he was like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
He did demand attention wherever he went. That was certain. He had presence, which I think made him a good actor as well. But I don't know. He was also a bit of a megalo. And by that, I mean megalomaniac. But, I mean, you get called a genius through all your goddamn formative years. It's going to go to your head a little bit. You might start believing your own, liking the smell of your own stink. So, yeah.
And with that, we can go ahead and jump into a little bit of a bio we found. Born George Orson Welles, May 6, 1915, in Kenosha, Wisconsin zone. Died October 10th, 1985. He, oh, wow.
Pardon. Channeling the ghost of Orson Welles. Sorry.
You maybe remember him from his time as an actor, director, producer, screenwriter, and various innovations in film, radio, and theater.
Yeah, he's actually one of the people who sort of pioneered a lot of the, modern day filmmaking techniques. He's an undeniable influence upon so many people today that, like, everyone fucking loves. Have more or less taken a cue from Wells, like people like, ones I know for sure, Tarantino, who's the other guy, Scorsese, a lot of the big directors, man, this guy schooled them, basically.
Spike Lee?
Probably.
Okay.
I'm sure there's somewhere in there.
This is an Orson Welles joint.
So, as for his early life, he was born to Richard, quote, Dick Head Wells, and his mother was Beatrice Ives Wells.
That's not even us being assholes. That's really his fucking...
Yeah. Richard.
Really
Dick,
his name.
Yeah, Dickhead. Terrible.
No wonder he drank himself to death.
Yeah.
Hey, man, don't give it all away up front. Come on now.
Sorry.
Cut that out.
He was named after his great-grandfather, both of them apparently, an attorney named Orson S. Head. And thank God he got Orson and not Head. Right?
Yeah, thank God he didn't get head.
Yeah. Oh, but he did.
Oh.
We'll get into it later.
Yes. I think we got a top 10 on that one. He was born into a fairly affluent family, and around the age of 4, his parents separated. His father made a fortune off of a bicycle lamp that was patented, and shortly after that, he stopped working and took to the creature, or as they call it in English, booze.
The demon rum.
Yes, well, not sure if it was...
If it was actually rum,
yeah.
probably whiskey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's I've never heard alcohol referred to as the creature before, but I have heard the demon rum.
Yeah, he succumbed to the creature. But his mother, Beatrice, I don't know why that name's so hard for me to say, took up work playing the piano at the Art Institute of Chicago until her death from hepatitis in 1924.
Ooh.
Dang.
At the time, Wells was only 9 years old.
Maybe she got it from a toilet seat.
Maybe.
Or
I mean,
toilet wine.
love in the time of hepatitis.
Hey, just ask, I was going to say Whitney and Bobby. That's wrong. I was going to say ask Pamela and Tommy Lee.
Yeah, but now there's a cure for that hepatitis.
How very topical, huh?
Yeah, like the cream. Anyways, at the age of 9, he ended up moving in with his father in his apartment, and then they moved to Grand Detour, Illinois, at a hotel his father owned.
Wow.
Until it burned down.
Grand Detour, Illinois?
It's a real fucking place.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
You got to come up with a better name for your town. Fucking, it's like, what's this place called? Grand Detour? Yeah, I think I'll fucking,
It's just a
Take a
great.
detour.
I think I'll, circumnavigate it and fucking never be there.
It's just a great detour.
You know what's a good thing to do there? Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. In 1926, he enrolled in the Todd Seminary School for Boys. It was there where his first experience was with radio at the school's radio station. He performed an adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, written by young Orson Welles himself.
Directed by Orson Welles.
Himself.
Produced by Orson Welles.
Himself.
Key gripped by
Orson Welles.
Best Boy by.
Yo mama.
I was trying to think of more movie jobs that fucking nobody really knows what they are. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, December 28th, 1930, Orson Welles' father, Dickhead Wells, died in his hotel from a heart attack and kidney failure. Orson Welles was only 15.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dang.
So he's an orphan now.
He is. He's an Orphan Welles.
Yeah. Beat me to the punchline.
Oh, man.
Oh, set up. Mike with the assist. And in May of 1931, Orson graduated from the Todd Seminary School, and he had been awarded a scholarship to Harvard, but he decided to travel instead and do some stuff in the Art Institute of Chicago. He actually did a little tour around Europe where he would go around and sketch and paint things that he found interesting. The paint tour, as it were. It's also around that time, from 1932 to 1933, he ended up palling around Europe and backpacking and meeting a lot of interesting people and doing some theater stuff and lots of stage work, which he ended up making a lot of contacts that would pay out dividends later on as soon as he got a career in radio. And one such person he met that did not really benefit him was one future dictator.
Mr. Perfect Aryan Shits himself.
Yes, and to which we did a little bit of research on this and found out from a clip from the Dick Cavett show that he claimed that he was, how did he phrase it, Mike?
I believe he said he was, I do specifically remember him saying that he completely 100% lacked any personality whatsoever.
He was remarkably one of the most unremarkable people he had ever met.
Yeah.
He just, no personality, and...
So I've got this, I'm going to play Call of Duty.
You know what? I fucking instantly regret launching into
So like the opposite of that.
yeah.
More like Ben Stein.
yeah.
There's a little bit of nothing going. You look at the eyes, and there seems to be nothing going on in there.
Yeah. Like a doll's eyes.
Yeah,
Empty, like a shock.
empty like a Hitler's eyes. And
He was a puppet. I mean,
he was a meat puppet.
yeah.
In 1934, he got his first radio job with the American School of the Air through actor-director Paul Stewart. Not that Paul Stewart, Mike, but a different Paul Stewart.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's spelled different.
Yeah. November of 1934, Wells got married to Virginia Nicholson. So very happy time. Lots of booze flowing and inspiration for commercials in the future. And in 19
We'll get to that later as well.
in 1937, Mercury Theater was created, inspired by the magazine The American Mercury. And in 1938, just at 22 years old, Wells was on the cover of Time magazine. And some of the most famous people on there, at least of noteworthy to this podcaster, was Vincent Price, was part of the Mercury Theater crew back when Wells was starting that thing up, which that guy is terrifying no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Mr. Price even got a song.
No, I'm having to. Mark, I was trying to remember how he sounds like oh shit.
Sounds.
I'm having to supplement my. I'm on Scooby Doo.
I'm having to take my supplements before we watch this scary movie.
So also in Wells's 20s,
I'll catch up.
one of his other claim to fame was that in the 20s he produced an all African American adaptation of Macbeth and a few other productions that went over pretty effing well.
Yeah, the Voodoo Macbeth is what it was called. Sorry to interject.
In 1937, Mercury Theater was created, inspired by the magazine The American Mercury. In 1938, just at the tender age of 22, Wells was on the cover of Time magazine.
Hey guys. It's a good thing he was on the cover of Time magazine when he was young, because if they did it when he was older, he'd have to be on 2 covers. Okay, sorry.
Nice. Praised as the ultimate auteur with a non-linear narratives, distinct lighting, and odd camera analysis and angles. He was undoubtedly left an impression on all filmmakers, and in 1938, the Mercury Theater on the Air gave him his greatest claim to fame of all time, his radio adaptation of The War of the Worlds. Wells was 23 and gained international notoriety.
Now, quick question. I don't know if you came across this in your research, but for a time during the Depression under Roosevelt, I believe he was commissioned basically to, it was part of the New Deal. In order to sort of uplift morale, he was basically commissioned to put on all these plays.
Yeah, it was the Federal Theater.
Yes, that's what I was. Yeah. Was this before War of the Worlds?
Yeah, he had done that prior to all his stage work was prior to Mercury Theater. He actually broke off from the feds to start doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So War of the Worlds was more famous than Citizen Kane?
Well,
I would say equally, but for very different reasons.
Citizen Kane didn't come out till 1941.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
this happened in 1938.
Okay. That's not that far apart.
Yeah, when he was doing when he was working for the feds, that's when he put on the Voodoo Macbeth, which was basically a reinterpretation of Shakespeare's Macbeth, but instead of all the Scottish Highlands Celtic mysticism shit, he replaced it all with voodoo.
That sounds badass.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucking cool idea. He actually did a lot for black theater. Man, that particular show, the Voodoo Macbeth, did really well. They toured it all over the country, for quite a while.
Okay, this is a naive question.
What?
Black theater. Was there theaters just for black people who were just black performers?
Yeah, I mean, it was still pretty segregated back then. I mean, you had I know that he did work with individual black actors and actresses in different productions.
Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, she'll come along later.
They dude, there's pictures of sold out crowds at black only theaters, and there was one, I want to say it was New Orleans, and there's wall.
Oh, the crowd out front, that picture.
Yeah, wall to wall. I mean, dude, assholes and elbows, and I've never seen that
You're
many
speechless.
people. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
But yeah, he was actually a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for here? He was kind of on the front lines of civil rights issues to a degree, especially in regards to art. I mean, he was definitely a man who felt that it transcended race, etc., various other, I don't know, divisions, etc.
demarcations.
Yeah, demarcation lines. Yeah, actually, when he was still working for the Fed, he was commissioned to go. This was on the rise of the war, I believe. And he was sent to Brazil to help to make a movie to like strengthen relations between the Americas. And he came back with all this footage, and the people who commissioned him were like, man, you got a lot of footage of like brown and black people. Like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're like, what are we going to do with this? Fucking, so they basically like shit canned the whole project. It was like,
wow,
you sent me down there to fucking like, he took all this like footage. They wanted him to specifically film Carnival down there in Rio. And yeah, he came back and I'm like, this is just a bunch of fucking, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah. What's true today is probably even truer back then.
Oh, yeah.
But
I feel like the more we talk about people from this era, and once again, I have to call back to something I said, I believe, in the Ian Fleming episode. People were fucking real stupid back then.
yeah. A lot of people don't know this or don't pay attention to it, but Brazil was actually part of the Allies, just in a very limited role.
Yeah.
They actually did have I think it's like 740 something people show up in Europe to fight the Jerrys.
to deliver peanuts.
And then they had 740 people from Europe, specifically Germany, come to Brazil later.
Yeah. I believe.
I pulled that number out of your.
Yeah.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
The circle is complete.
They called that musical The Boys of Brazil.
No.
Is it safe?
Any hoozle. 1941 would usher in the next era of the greatness of Orson Welles, and that would be Citizen Kane.
Oh.
And now there's all kinds of nonsense surrounding it. There's, how would you put it, Mike? Not quite a conspiracy, but like maybe a little bit of a hidden jab or two.
Yeah, actually, man, I'm sorry I threw you off earlier, but I did want to also touch on a couple things about War of the Worlds. So yeah, I brought up the fact that he was working for the feds at that time. I know I'm like sort of painting it with a certain brush by putting it that way. There's actually a couple weird conspiracy theories about War of the Worlds itself, the broadcast. I know, spoiler alert that I'm about to give for a fucking 50-year-old movie, but it's one that you should definitely check out because it's awesome. It's called The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Yes.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I haven't. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's greatness.
The underlying, like, twist in that story, like, part of it, is that basically while Wells was working for the federal government and did the War of the Worlds broadcast,
Like at the same time?
sort of, there's some overlap. But yeah, the idea was that this actually fucking happened or something to that degree.
And that this was integration.
Yeah, this was like a fake out. It really happened, but it's like, oh no, it was just a show. Like, not saying that, you know, he was actually covering shit while it was going down. But supposedly something did crash land in a fucking Grover's Mills or wherever it's supposed to take place.
Yeah, it had already happened, and this was supposed to be the way that they got people used to the concept.
Yeah, that like they could say like what's real and what's fake, which will become a very prominent reoccurring theme that Wells likes to touch on. He's very much considers himself a magician and is into, you know, illusion and fucking misdirection.
Illusions,
like
Dad.
Hence
Illusions.
Hence his typical decor when he was older.
Yeah, the cape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's also worth noting that during the broadcast of War of the Worlds that they did break in every now and again and say, this is CBS. If you know, it's not like TiVo. You can't just record that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
when people missed it, they missed it. But
Once again, people were fucking stupid back then.
the allure and like the illusion of it being real was so much that they're not very certain that anyone actually did off themselves because Martians invaded.
Yeah, I
and
think
it's a rumor that was spread around it to create mythology
And
around the
hysteria.
event.
Yeah. And you know
Well-
what? That's also another sort of side conspiracy thing because there are people who these media outlets were becoming, you know, new tools for, let's say, for lack of a better word, propaganda, just ways for processing information out to the masses. And there supposedly were, if you take aside the whole Buckaroo Banzai concept, there actually were people who were very interested in seeing how people would react to what the new, like, how credulous people are, basically. Like, would they believe that a fucking Martian invasion was taking place just because someone on the radio was saying it was happening? So, I mean, take that to the, you know, potentialities of what any kind of, I don't know, evil fucking state power would want to do with their potential avenues of information processing.
I was going to say, that movie Buckaroo Banzai, I think, actually got me denied a job at a bank because I was like, I want to grow up to be Buckaroo Banzai. And they're like...
Then you didn't want to work there, trust me.
They're like, wait, what? And I'm like, have you never seen it? It's greatness. And I don't know. I thought I did pretty good, but she's like, you know what? You've already talked shit about this bank saying we lost $1 billion in a day. I'm not trying to give away the name, but if you remember, that happened to that bank. And
one close to us?
Yeah, you know, that one.
Yeah. Jesus, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I still remember very clearly when I brought up Buckaroo Banzai.
This is a total tangent, but do you guys remember when that cult from China moved into our town?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah. I mean, people were scared, yes.
There was hysteria around it.
Yeah.
Why do y'all keep saying hysteria? Do you mean like in the old sense of hysteria?
Yeah,
or
like the
womb,
Salem witch troll.
The womb is running around?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wandering womb syndrome?
No, yeah, there were people who were very like, what's going on? Because they were all dressed the same, etc. But I don't know. They were very, I would say benign in their belief system. So, and then the apocalypse or whatever didn't happen, as it usually tends not to do.
Well, it only happened for them.
I don't even think that happened, if I remember correctly about what I read about them. This is a total tangent. Sorry.
That was Heaven's Gate, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Heaven's Gate killed. Yeah, they fucking commit mass suicide. These people came here to the city of quote unquote Garland City because they thought it was called Godland. And yeah, they made a translation mistake, and then they set some date, as most cults tend to do, for some sort of mass, spiritual
Save the
apocalypse.
date.
I'm sorry, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it didn't happen. Everyone was like, well, shit, I guess we just wasted all our fucking time believing in this horse shit. So
they sent out an RSVP and everything.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, check it out. I think it's called Qingtao or Eastern Lightning. I know I might be getting my Far East Asian cults mixed up.
Did they wear like the cowboy hats and stuff?
Yeah, the all white and the white cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was them.
That was abnormal.
Yeah, I know, right?
To say the least.
Nothing like that ever happens around here.
So what? Back to being on topic, real quick.
Real quick.
Yeah, just for a minute.
Before our next tangent.
Citizen Kane. Everyone says there's more to Rosebud than we let on, and like everybody knows that it's a sled. But didn't you say there was something else going on behind the scenes there?
He should have called it Rose Plum.
Oh God, pink sock. Yeah, no. I was looking into the history of Citizen Kane, and as we all know at this point, the movie is largely centered around a character who is more or less media mogul William Randolph Hearst. I don't know, when you sort of take that specifically into account with the potentialities of government interference or collusion with Wells on the War of the Worlds thing, and just like how media has how it came into being and like how it was becoming such a tool and what you could do with it, like the possibilities becoming endless.
We could say anything.
Exactly, yeah. And
we could start the Spanish-American War.
Exactly. That's what I was about to get into.
Yeah, yellow journalism.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is it called yellow? Do you remember? Because it was printed on cheap paper or something like that?
I can't remember the exact reason, but I know it's the birthplace of sensationalism.
Yeah. Basically, I think most people have probably heard the story that the
USS Maine.
Yeah, like that kicked off the Spanish-American War. And basically, William Randolph Hearst.
Wait, we should tell the folks how that kind of went down real quick.
Okay, so get this shit right. So it's like 1898, and the USS Maine is doing some repair work in Guantanamo Bay, was it Guantanamo Bay? No, they didn't have that back then.
It was down south. It was down there.
Yeah, it was down there by America's Wang, and the USS Maine exploded, and they're like, oh, man, the Spanish did it. And they're like, wait, hold on. Do we have proof? No, but run it anyways.
Yeah.
Because
Hearst told his, fucking on-the-ground guy to go out there, take pictures, and he's like, but there's not a war. And he's like, you supply the pictures, I'll supply the war.
This is a real wag the dog situation.
Yeah.
We need to get this going.
This shit happened.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Whether it happened or not, it fucking happened. So get ready. Here we go.
Yeah. So, Hearst was, he built his own reputation for being fucking just unscrupulous as shit. He was also one of the first people who sort of fostered this modern, vapid TMZ style paparazzi celebrity culture.
With threats.
Yeah, exactly. He knew very much that everybody who bought and read papers, 3 out of the 5 bought Hearst publications.
That's right. Everybody Hearsts.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Going back to what you said, Mike.
So yeah, like Hearst was he was not a good man. He was pretty much a real life supervillain, close to it.
Pretty evil.
Yeah. So Wells, in coming up with this story, like he hung out with this writer named Mank. Forget his. I want to say it's Martin Mank. They made a Netflix movie about the guy not too long ago. Might be worth checking out. Haven't seen it. Anyways, this Mank fella would go to all these parties thrown at the Hearst compound, for lack of a better word. Hearst like built this giant fucking like castle in fucking he basically dedicated it to himself. He's like, you know what? Pretty badass. I'm gonna build myself a giant castle with a zoo. And he
This is
populated
mine.
Yeah, he populated it with all these fucking animals and shit. It's like the scene at the beginning of Citizen Kane, like, in Xanadu did Kubla Khan a pleasure dome decree. Like, that's based on this place. So, yeah, they had these big lavish parties all the time there. And Hearst started dating this, for lack of a better term, showgirl.
Floozy.
I mean, she not in real life. She was trying, Things weren't easy for women back then, but especially like she at least had the
Was she a flapper or was this before then?
sort of like she danced in shows.
Flappers were the 20s.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Oh yeah, like she was a showgirl. Her name was Lola. No, her name wasn't Lola. She considered herself a dancer / comedian. And fucking Hearst fell head over heels. Basically, she would say, like, as soon as they were dating, she's like, yeah, I'm a gold digger. And like threw jokes because she was dating such a rich older man. I believe she was
Mr. H.
Yeah. I think he was like 25 years her senior. I could be wrong on that, but quite a bit. So yeah, he's dating this much younger woman, and since he has all this money, he's basically throwing it into everything he can do to make her a star, which was no small feat. He was like producing movies and putting her into it and just...
So wait, let me get this straight. He was like, now look here, darling, it's going to be, it's going to cost a lot of money for you to fucking, for people to buy your talent.
Yeah.
Because you...
there is an element of that.
Your talent is expensive.
Yeah. So, he basically built her up to someone worthy of his stature, more or less. And they throw all these huge Hollywood parties at the Hearst mansion. All these celebrities, writers, etc. will come over. And there was no drinking. That is until Hearst went to bed. And after that, his lady, Margaret, I believe, she would bust out the liquor afterwards. And that's when things would get kind of raucous. And this Mank fellow who co-wrote Citizen Kane with Wells, he remembered like all the fucking hot goss that these people were throwing around. And apparently Hearst had a little pet nickname for his lady's lady bits.
What was that?
Rosebud. So, yeah, kind of. And
Interesting.
the other than like Hearst being a fucking unscrupulous dickhead with dubious business practices, which is what initially made him a target for this movie, things... Ooh, man, I gotta say, Wells was sort of hitting below the belt because like he took shots at the fella's lady. And she was portrayed in the movie as being like a gold digger and a drunk floozy, etc., with no talent. So, like that.
Well, hell, man, if she did it in real life and admitted it to papers.
Well, she was joking around. Like, actually, later, like when she did get famous, she actually made all this money and ended up like just giving it to Hearst before he died because she actually fell in love with the dude. Like, it's actually kind of a sweet story, but. Anywho,
why give it to a tycoon or a robber baron?
She just wanted to like pay him back and like thank him for like putting her up to where she became like, for building her up her opportunities.
That's
and
cool.
et
I'm
cetera.
so glad that she
That's
felt.
cool of her.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she felt obligated to give all her money back to a tycoon that is responsible for causing.
Probably like, hey, I can wipe my ass with this. All right.
Oh, good. TP. Thank you.
Yeah. So once the movie came out and Hearst, people kept telling Hearst, like, every time they saw him, was like, that movie's about you, right? And he's like, I don't give a shit. It's like,
Why does he sound like Nick Nolte?
actually, he sounds. You
Yes,
know what?
it sounds like this.
No,
It sound like this first. It sound like this when I killed your brother.
Roger Rabbit. No, you know what? Just for the sake of today, William Randolph Hearst fucking sounds like Nick Nolte. So yeah,
It's a dramatic recreation.
everyone was like, Hearst, this movie's about you, right? And you're like, I don't give a shit. I got too much money, and no one can touch me. It's fine. He's just talking shit. He's just angry and jealous.
The man's just beating the shit out of the microphone in there.
Yeah. I'm channeling my inner Nick Nolte.
God damn it, Chewbacca. So yeah. Woo, sorry, give me a second to compose myself. Yeah, everyone was telling Hearst this movie's about you, and he's like, yeah, whatever, fucking, it's all hearsay, conjecture. And then after a while, people were like, yeah, but dude, he's talking mad shit about your lady, bro. And that's when he fucking took an active, role in trying to get it shut down everywhere he could.
Yeah, it's like nobody's going to talk trash about my lady except me.
Yeah, pretty much. So he's having his paper and his people like contact all these theaters. It's like, if you show this movie, we will shut you the fuck down.
We will have you assassinated.
Yeah, it probably bordered on that.
As he eats his cottage cheese inside a cantaloupe.
Old people. So yeah, he basically went to all these theaters through go-betweens and was like, if you show this movie, we will shut you the fuck down. He had his most popular, I guess she would be considered like one of those Hollywood page 7 kind of like TMZ rumor ladies that wrote in the newspaper, like, I heard so-and-so is dating so-and-so, but she actually likes so-and-so, and that's why so-and-so, all that fucking gossipy
And got
bullshit.
denied a bank loan.
Yeah. Gossip columnist. She's calling people and getting a hold of them, saying like, Mr. Hearst is not pleased with this movie. He said he's going to shut you down. He'll fucking do it. And also, hey, guess what? You think you have a private life? Well, fucking say goodbye to that. Guess what else? Are you gay? No? Well, you're going to be. You're also going to be a fucking communist if we say it in the paper. So basically, everyone believed, what they read at that point still.
I think they still do.
Yeah.
Ivermectin.
There was a lot of there was a lot of pushback. Eventually, I do believe that Wells and Hearst ended up sharing an elevator together. That was for like 10 seconds at one point, and that was about the only time they ever directly interacted in real life.
Did one of them eat the other?
It's like when I had to eat all those people to survive when I got trapped overnight in that McDonald's. No, fucking Hearst, Wells was like, there was like a long, awkward silence, I'm sure. And fucking like somebody just farted in the elevator.
Thank God you said that because I was going there.
Yeah. Wells was like, so did you see the movie? And Hearst replies, no. And then as soon as he said no, the doors opened and he rushed out and Wells just screamed, Kane would have seen it. Kane would have seen it. I don't know if he said it twice like that, but I just added that for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Seems like something Wells
It's very Orson Welles of you, yeah.
I would think that if we cued the dramatic music as he's walking away.
This movie was innovative in many, many ways, largely for the methods of production and direction that were.
Now, Mike, I have a question. It's a very pertinent one. Is that where they invented the spinning newspaper?
You know what? That may have been. That seems like a very Wellesian thing to do.
It's genius.
Yeah, because
We're genius.
it seems like a very Wellesian thing to do in that, a spinning newspaper can convey so much plot information and just that one shot. And that's something that he was kind of known for doing. Like, he would use these establishing shots for, he took a lot of influence from like German expressionist films, Dr. Caligari, stuff like that.
Wait, isn't that a Oh, calamari. Never mind.
No, you're thinking of squids, fella.
Uh,
Yeah. So the film Citizen Kane more or less catapulted Wells to fucking superstardom. The problem with that is that he was also immediately lauded a genius on his first real try, in Hollywood system. And this had a two-pronged effect. One, everyone's fucking lauding you because you're a fucking genius, and all of a sudden they want to work with you and get a piece of you,
yeah.
Secondly, now you have to fucking live up to your initial, this is your first thing you ever done right out the gate. And you did such a fucking boffo job at it that you're essentially forced to have to top yourself.
So there was when I started looking at this, I thought, man, this is you know how everybody's got like that one really ironic moment in their life?
I think I know what you're talking
that kind of
about.
defines like the weird tragedy or comedy of errors in their life.
Like a young, John Lennon walking by a guitar store and looking in the window and one day, like that kind of.
And yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But that movie is also a good allegory for a loss of innocence. And
oh yes, very much so.
And if you look at the creator and what he went through, as we earlier mentioned, that his old man was an alkie, and that his mom died, and he was an orphan at 15. His dad in the will, in his last will and testament, wrote that Orson Welles could pick his own
Hotel?
When you're a kid, what do you call it? And you need
Lollipops.
you need an adult.
Guardian?
Yes. Thank you. Orson
I
Welles
was way
could,
off.
Yeah. Orson Welles could name his own guardian. Imagine being 15 years old and both your parents are dead, and you had to be an adult living on the road with your dad at a hotel while he drank himself to death.
Yeah.
And figure out, who do I want to be legally responsible for me? It's like the worst version of the dating game I ever fucking heard of, man.
Yeah.
And they're all adults with their own shit going on. Like, man, I don't want to fucking dick with this kid. Fuck this kid. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and apparently Wells was a bit of an asshole as a child as well.
And-
he was very he this stuck with him his whole life. It's just part of his character traits, but he was very grandiose and
He had a mouth.
he was very I almost verge on using the word pomposity, but some of his actually a good portion of his being lauded as a genius, etc., is not entirely unfounded. I mean, the guy's who he is for doing what he's done. So
Well, even at that, man, I mean, I think the reason that this movie is so great is that his own personal experiences, he was able to draw from that and translate that.
That's what I was trying to get back to. Actually, with the more time that passed, let's see, that movie came out in 1941.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. When it came out, it was a huge fucking thing, and especially about the Hearst associations. And then it died down, after a while, especially after there were more and more attempts and clamoring for Wells to follow up with another fucking smash hit, which he was signed to I believe a 2 or 3 picture deal. And his next movie was called The Magnificent Ambersons, I believe.
Yeah.
And the fucking studio saw it and they were just like, you know what's wrong with this movie? It's not Citizen Kane. And they pretty much fucking scrapped it. And
now, Orson, why is the ending so sad? I just don't understand.
I can already picture a modern 1980s-ish fucking movie executive in there, fucking rides into the office on a shark and high on cocaine. He's like, you know what this movie needs? A giant mechanical spider. Can we get a giant mechanical spider in this? Also, we need cross promotions with Pepsi and Doritos. That was basically more or less what happened. Yeah, they were like, it's not Citizen Kane, fucking, and they shelved it. This is about where also, he became very disillusioned with Hollywood and the whole fucking Hollywood process. But yes, over the years that passed, he did later admit, he's like, yeah, with time, hindsight being 2020, I actually now see quite a lot of similarities between myself and Hearst.
So funny note about, well, not funny, but shitty note about that fucking movie he was making. When they actually sent him over to, I guess it was Central America to get documentary footage. While he was gone, the studio was like, hey, you know what? There's 40 minutes of this movie that doesn't need to be in here. So here's what we're going to do while he's gone, getting, dysentery and all that. We're going to cut out 40 minutes of the movie and reshoot the ending to make it happy because this is bullshit. People don't, there's a war out there and people are looking for fun, okay? Not sad, happy, okay?
Yeah, that's, I mean, once again, Hollywood, radio, film, these were all still very new mediums. Any new technology or, something akin to technology, usually there is a large contingent of people who are usually in charge of shit, and their first fucking thought is, how can we adapt this to militarize it? And fucking the essential, militarization of film and media is propaganda. So that's about where that starts, But yeah, Citizen Kane, so it's a great film. It's very innovative. It's definitely worth checking out. I especially love the musical number, There Is a Man. A certain man. Yeah, I'm not going to sing the whole song, but definitely a movie worth checking out. Closing, as far as regarding Citizen Kane, the movie, he was instantly right out the gate lauded as a genius. And this had, let's say, detrimental effects as well as good ones. Because, everyone wanted to follow up. It's like, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? It's going to be great as, your first one, your first joint. And, when's your next Orson Welles joint coming out? And this basically had an effect of throughout his life and the rest of his career. He very much liked to involve himself in every aspect of the movie production. If he could, he usually uses like contractual fucking agreements. I get, director and editor veto, et cetera, things like that. But later on, all these different projects he'd do, he just couldn't finish most of them because he very much fell into the artistic trap of, I can always do it better.
It's a trap.
Yeah, overly self-critical. And it's something I heard my other brother once call analysis paralysis, which is it's a pretty good way to put it. So that plagued him the rest of his life. And he had so many, juggling different projects that he never really got to finish. And he also, that's what led him to basically getting into all the infamous advertising that we'll get into later as well. That was all, large. A lot of people saying like, oh, he sold out, he was a has-been. But that's not true. He was doing whatever he could to secure funding to do what he wanted to do, to be free.
Case in point, Mike, there was actually, he was out and about in the 50s and 60s, and he was in Italy at the time, and he had a financier, I believe it was we'll call it Soviet financier.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember hearing him talk about something like that.
So they're at this resort, and he's talking to his financier, and all this is on the Dick Cavett show. You can look this up.
Oh, wait, was this the one with that the financier was the brother-in-law to the Shah of Iran? Is that what you're talking about?
No, this guy was...
okay, because that happened too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was right when the fucking Iranian Revolution was fucking gearing up, so he had problems there as well.
Yeah. You might have some problems at the bank.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's at this resort in Italy.
Cash that check till Wednesday.
And he's hanging out and he's talking. He's like, look, man, here's my sales pitch on this. It's going to be great. I think we can make some money off this. And not only that, I mean, your name will be tied to this film in history and perpetuum. And all you have to do is just keep throwing some money down. And while they're talking, in walks who else but Sir Winston Churchill,
the giant baby himself.
Yeah, that's right. The baby that smokes cigars,
top hat and all.
Yeah, and
I do believe the character from Roger Rabbit was based on Churchill.
And so he walks into this restaurant they're sitting at, and he looks over and he sees Orson Welles talking to somebody, and he just waves at him. He's like, hey. And, gives him the double guns. And he goes...
Finger guns.
Yeah. He goes and sits down at his table and has his coffee and cigar and whatever terrible English food that they like.
Boiled pizza.
Yeah. Boiled pizza. His financier looks at him like, you know that guy? And he says, oh, yeah, no, I met him...
Way back in the day.
Like before any of that silly stuff in Europe happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, that's really cool, man. Tell me about it. He's like, oh, man, dude, it's boring, they let us hang out. And
I sat next to Hitler, no big deal.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I met Hitler, too, but nobody ever asked me about that. And he's like, oh, no, but Winston Churchill's cool. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And so at the end of their meeting, they part ways, and Orson Welles goes out to the beach, And, he looks like a stranded animal.
I was about to say.
On his,
We got to get this whale back in the water.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit. Sorry. It's just there. How are we not going to take it?
Somebody help this whale. Yeah. The semi-beached whale hanging out on the fucking shoreline comes across another animal-esque looking person and fucking Sir Winston Churchill, who looks like a beached walrus.
I can already imagine what his fucking bathing suit must look like.
And
it's got to have stripes.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It definitely has stripes.
He looks like a really disgusting hamburglar. So they're out there. They're out there on the beach and they're enjoying a good time and surfing the tide or whatever. And he says, "Hey, Winston, I got to tell you, thank you again for acknowledging me. You just secured finance for my film. Thank you." He's like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that was going to be something that really helped you out. That's great. I'm glad I could help you out." Nothing was made of it. That was the end of that part of the conversation. And then the next day, they're having another meeting. They're at the same restaurant because right there attached to the hotel. And he's talking to his financier about, okay, this is who I want to get involved with, and this is who I want running my other stuff here while we're doing this. And said, "Oh," and then Winston Churchill walks in. And Winston Churchill walks in and looks right at our boy Orson Welles, sits down, gives a little
The
knowing nod, hey, what's up, guy? And continues to eat his meal. And then when his financier notices that Winston Churchill's back in the restaurant again, Winston Churchill notices that he's been noticed. So he gets up out of his chair, pulls his chair back, stands up, stands aside, and gives him a bow. And then goes and sits back down. And he's like, "How the fuck he made Winston Churchill bow? Oh my God, we got to give this guy some money." And holy shit. And
if we ever have like a fucking pitch meeting or something, or anything like that in the fucking future, hint, people listening out there in Radio Land, we need to have one of us not present to show up like just out of the blue and be like, "Oh my God, you guys are those guys. You're fucking brilliant, man. I fucking love you guys." One of the oldest cons in the book. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, dirty, rotten scoundrels. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. And he always thought that was like one of the sweetest things that Winston Churchill ever did for him. And they were good buds, They even had
I can see them in a fucking rowboat, swan boat, fucking already just out on the water.
"Want to tell you about my best friend."
He just sinks.
Yeah. And they're like, there's a beached walrus and a whale out there in the pond. Somebody help.
Oh man.
And even he's such a great storyteller, even when he's just a great orator. And when
voice, bro.
Yeah, and when he tells you a story, man, it really bends your ear in, you're just locked into.
Especially if he's doing it while wearing a cape.
Yeah.
Which he did quite often in his later years.
Most importantly with the cape. And what I really love to have heard was him address the rumors that he actually killed the Black Dahlia killer.
Yeah, that unfortunately, this is just a quick aside I found. That quote unquote allegation didn't come up till very recently. This woman, this author named, I believe, Tracy Palacio, wrote a book stating that Orson Welles was in fact the murderer of Elizabeth Short, aka the Black Dahlia.
In fact.
Yeah, she bases this on very, very dubious evidence. I believe what her main contention or, impetus behind this theory is that in the movie, I believe it was called A Touch of Evil, there's a scene with all these fucking chopped up mannequins. That's at least what she, would tell the press. It was like, "What are you basing this on?" And that was her go-to answer. There is a lot of, connections, but I mean, all these people, Hollywood, artists, etc., there was so much overlap. All these people, if you research good enough, sooner or later, you're going to find connections and meetings and, anecdotes, etc. Like, we already looking back on Ian Fleming and Dion Fortune and fucking just all the connections back in those days between everyone. Like, we didn't intentionally plan to do that, but just these things happen.
Yeah, even even running a makeshift radio teleplay out of Sherlock Holmes, an original fan fiction Sherlock Holmes version of this nonsense as a what, a fucking 14-year-old? I mean,
Oh, when he was in the orphanage or whatever?
well, not the orphanage,
Or
but when he was in the Todd Seminary School.
That's what it was, yeah.
Todd Seminary
Uh,
School.
Yeah, and part of it also, I think, was just he was such a tremendous, like, part of why I also think she came up with this theory is because he played, like, evil bastards pretty well. I actually have a quote from one of his characters that I thought was really fucking awesome. He plays a character in a film called The Third Man. It's a pretty fucking good movie. It's worth checking out also. This character named Harry Lime. Yeah, it's a film about espionage, etc. But he has this one particular quote that I really like. In Italy for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed. They produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love and 500 years of democracy. And what did they produce? The cuckoo clock. So, I mean, I don't know. That plays directly into his whole idea of art, etc. And, it takes conflict and pressure and fucking things like that to, inspire. So I get it. It's also just a very scary, matter of fact kind of thing about the world. I don't know. It has quite a heavy load of implications to it. But
yeah, you could actually make the argument that the more engagement in the real natural world, the more likely you are to produce something of artistic value. Granted, we all know my stance on art. It is subjective, but I mean, man, you can't. How are you supposed to do anything if you never do anything?
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna actually launch into quite a bit about art here in just a second, but real quick, you guys want to hear about the FUPA bumps?
Sure.
Fupa, fupa, fupa.
All right, settle down, children. Okay. Now, I think we mentioned earlier that fucking Wells, I mean, dude, he was smashing it left and right. It just, he's a big fella. Not most of his life, but it goes to show you it doesn't really matter what you look like as long as you're an interesting person and can engage, man, you'll be doing all right for yourself.
Against all odds.
Now, I've got a partial list here of some of the famous women that Wells was known to romantically associate with.
Smash.
For brevity's sake, it's not going to be in necessarily correct chronological order. I think you'll recognize quite a few of these names. Hear the music. Paola Mori, Rita Hayworth, Virginia Nicholson, Oya Kodar, Marlena Dietrich, Ludmila Tarina, Eartha Kitt, Nancy Valentine.
What a collection. And you can have all those.
All these and more. So, yeah, he was, guy was interesting. He,
I get around,
he
get around.
He did, literally and figuratively. He was a well-traveled, worldly man. And fucking, he was very much a man of the senses and the sensations. As a matter of fact, the film we're about to launch and discussing, F for Fake, there's it's a documentary / video essay of sorts, and there's a fucking hilarious scene where he and a bunch of his friends and entourage are in a restaurant, and he's eating a salad, and the waiter comes by and he's like, "Take this salad away from me and bring me a steak. Make that 2 steaks.
Leave the fuck."
Yes. Yeah, very much a man of sensations. He loved to drink and laugh and love, and that was him. He was a larger-than-life character. So, yeah, the film F for Fake, this is an interesting as fuck movie. It's his one and only really documentary, at least that he made while he was alive. And it centers around, at first, the story of a infamous, worldly known art forger by the name of Elmire. And Elmire is such a proficient art forger, of fine arts paintings, that they say you may have actually seen his work in more museums than you've seen of the actual famous paintings of which these forgeries are covering or whatever. So after that, he launches into something that sort of incidentally happened during the making of this film, and they introduce a fellow by the name of Clifford Irving. Clifford Irving is infamous for having produced a what people didn't know at the time, fake autobiography of one Mr. Howard Hughes. And this was during his fucking, long hair and fingernails, peeing in jars.
Oh, no.
Fucking, isolating himself from the world period. That's why a lot of people also glommed onto it. And there was a painting of Hughes on the cover of the book. But as it turned out later, the biography was of H. Hughes. And later he would go on to say, like, oh, no, that's my girlfriend, Helen Hughes, or whatever her name was. So I didn't lie.
Why did Helen Hughes have a beard and tissue boxes on her feet?
No, I mean, like, she was a good-looking lady. But, he just because there's a picture of a guy on the cover, once again, don't judge a book by the cover.
But it's a lady. It's
Yeah,
a lady.
So just because there's a painting of a man on the cover that she did, by the way, so there is like even more connection there.
Oh.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, H. Hughes is about a man. So
So it's the ever important statement that I ask you your sex.
yeah.
No.
Did I ask if you were a woman? No, I asked if you were Dave fucking Davidson.
Thank you.
Yeah. The film, it's something you very much have to see for yourself because there's a lot of very, as I'm known to say quite often on this show, salient points that can be found. He especially touches on the art world and art in general and what is art. And there's a prevailing theme touched on through it that within the art world, it especially likes to, I think, mention how to put this. How do we assign monetary value to works of art? And there's a whole, I would say, close to theory presented that the vast number of people who are, I guess, more or less, you could call them quote unquote experts or art academics, etc. The fact that these people have been fooled by forgeries basically illustrates that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And a lot of what they know or claim to know is mostly based on bluffing and posturing, etc. And the best phrase I've heard that sort of encapsulates this whole idea is the regular man can say, I don't know art, but I know what I like. Whereas the art expert can say, I don't know what I like, but I know art. So that's sort of a reoccurring thing through it. But it also touches on, he talks a lot about being the magician. And because once again, like what we're touching back onto about media being a new thing that came out and the idea of, say, War of the Worlds being an experiment to see how people react to it. He very much, fancied himself a magician. And it's also why he loved to involve himself in the processes of production, direction, and editing, etc., because he more or less was controlling what you see and using misdirection, etc. Don't let your left hand know what your right is doing, and so on.
Or even just the even with the audio, we give you.
Don't let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. Just out of Dion Fortune's book.
Hey, man, that might,
It's the unpublished.
There's connections there. Yeah, but a lot. It touches on the art of storytelling and art as a lie. There's a brilliant quote from Picasso in the film: "Art is the lie that makes us see the truth." The film really appealed to me because it shows that as a creative, as an artist, like you are like world building, you're storytelling, and the whole idea of you like equating this storytelling to an art to lies, because a work of fiction is essentially a lie. But there are so many lies in the world that we all adhere to, like the value of money. We all fucking lie and say that it has value because just that's what we do.
Because we agreed to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a stop sign stops people from running stop signs.
Exactly. These are all agreed upon lies. You don't have to stop at a stop sign. Like,
there's nothing physically stopping you.
Yeah. Like, so these are the sort of like social and conceptual constructs that we build in our world that sort of, they can be largely, a form of a prison. But also, not only will the truth set you free, but fiction as well. It allows you to go visit other worlds. It's, it's your imagination, bro. And there are roadblocks to trying to be a creative. I don't know, in my own experience, I think that's mostly just so many people, you know, I'm going to editorialize here for a bit, but I feel in my own experience that most people are so quickly ready to hunker down and get a fucking job they hate and then, you know, get married and have kids or whatever the fuck it is you're supposed to do because that's what's expected of you. That's, you know, that's the social contract or the norm, etc.
Which is like the worst thing you could possibly do besides going on a killing spree.
Well, you cannot deny the obvious fact that life works a little bit better with a paycheck.
Well, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I don't know. I've just met so many people who are fucking miserable and hate their jobs, and they once upon a time had a dream, or they have you know, some talent or artistic ability that at one point in time in their life that, you know, that was going to be what they wanted to do. You know, no fucking kid says, once again, to quote ourselves from a previous episode, no kid says, I'm going to grow up and be a guidance counselor. It just doesn't happen, you know? And I feel that there is a certain underlying bit of...
I think those guys grew up thinking, I want to destroy kids' lives. What's the fastest way to do that?
That does happen to people. I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, actually, like, there's an underlying sort of push that I work a job and I'm fucking miserable, so you need to do it too. But if you want to pursue art and creative endeavors, you will find quite a bit of resistance usually. I know most parents, you know, if they hear like their kid wants to go to art school, they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, they also shit.
You will get the most resistance from the corporations who would otherwise publish you.
You also shit the bed with your parents when you say, I want to go to business school. Oh my God, what did I go wrong? Jesus Christ. Oh, God damn it.
Look, your mother and I, all our lives, we've been mimes. And now you want to go to clown college? Look at her. She's speechless.
Exactly.
Oh, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a horrible thing. I don't know. I just wish more people basically could like hold on to that, like just the fucking magic of childhood wonder.
Yeah, but wait, hold on.
I get that you have to like fucking eat and get groceries. Like,
isn't it
that's
more
not lost on me?
Isn't it more amicable or respectable that, in spite of all odds, they went out and did this while fucking living this mediocre lifestyle of work?
No, that's actually that's even better.
Yeah,
I'm not counting out those people. I'm just saying there's a large amount of people who fucking just totally give up on fucking dreams, man.
It's like fucking Run DMC said, man. You want to work, you got to work hard. You want to compete. It's like that, and that's the way it is. And fucking like, no one's gonna just fucking Daddy Warbucks you ever. It's never gonna happen.
No.
It's a fictional character, just like anything else. Just like winning the lottery is fiction.
Yeah,
and fucking,
even if you want to make art for a living, you have to work fucking hard, extra hard, actually. Than
on
you
top
would.
Of that,
yeah.
Fucking, I know. There's a group of fucking girls that get together that I know that go out and do expos and stuff, man. And that's all they do is they just hone their fucking crap, put that shit together as 3 different types of art. You know, like one does clothing, one does that kind of frou-frou stuff around the house crap.
Arts and craftsy stuff.
Yeah, like fucking smell goods and all that stuff. And the other one makes candles that smell like other stuff around the house.
This is what I'm talking about, though, man. Like, see, that's fucking excellent because a lot of people, once again, they don't even have that outlet.
Yeah.
I feel like. And it just, man, it's sad to me. Fucking, because all you have to do to fucking do it is just do it. I know that sounds oversimplified, but fucking, man, like you can. It's never too late to start living your dream.
Here's the thing: is like you were saying, man. People are gonna talk down to you. They're gonna talk bad about you behind your back or in your face.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares, right? Fucking haters gonna hate, right? Fucking, they're like, oh, when was the last time we needed to go to the smell good candle store / Dreamcatcher store? Holy shit, baby, it's 10 o'clock. The fucking Dreamcatcher store is gonna shut down at any minute now. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, it's, you know, it's a very rare conversation, I'm sure. But you got to respect them for doing what they do, you know, like, hey, at least you got the fucking parts to do it.
Yeah. And you took it from just this thing I like to do to fill my time. Like, I'm very much a believer in the phrase, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Because, man, this is like I look forward to doing this, making this show all fucking week. I get to hang out with my friend and my brother, drink a few beers, make some fat jokes. Fucking, it's like, this is the highlight of my week every week. And it's compounded even more by the fact that, like, people actually fucking listen to us, which is great. It's fucking, and it feels good.
Thank
and I'll
you,
tell
by the
all
way.
of you, yeah, everyone, thank you. And I will say,
And thank you, everybody on Facebook who I didn't message back. I'm sorry.
we'll get to you. Yeah. I got to say, man, I've, like for a specific example, I know J-Lo has done this way more often than me. I've performed on stage a small handful of times in my life, but when people are fucking clapping and smiling and laughing, it beats any fucking drug you will ever do in your life. It's such a great feeling, and that's probably because I myself am a bit of a megalomaniac. I'm not that unaware of myself, but it's great. It's not so much the validation; it's just that you can make people smile and fuck. I mean, the validation is nice. But,
I don't need validation anymore. Isn't that great?
Well, I mean, when they came out with records, musicians were terrified because they thought that their live gigs were shot. But
yeah,
people kept coming back because of
because new people got to hear and
they also they feed off of you, and then you feed off of them, and it just builds.
You create an environment and this microcosm between the audience and you, and even when you're an audience member and you felt it, all of you felt it before, fucking Danzig gets on stage and holy shit, this is gonna be awesome. Or fucking, any other group, fucking the one that Aesop Rock, man, fucking we were at the Palladium and we were on the second floor and the whole floor, everyone was jumping up
we were
and
gonna
down.
Fucking die.
That's right. We thought the floor was gonna collapse.
I think it actually did collapse eventually.
Not that night, thank God.
Yeah.
But it's you work everybody into a lather, and that experience is it's important for art, right?
Yeah.
You need to you want to extract something out of these people when you're making art, whether it be film or radio or even a doodle, so on and so forth.
And even if you're not, creating for a mass audience, as long as you're still engaging in the act of creation and utilizing your imagination, I think you're a better person for it. It helps you in so many ways. I almost could liken it to a form of exorcism sometimes. Like, you get to work the shit out and just,
It's so important. It's like it's a quintessential like part of human nature to be creative.
Yeah.
Dion Fortune was one of my favorite episodes because we got to do some pent up stuff I had and I got to let out, man, I've come across this before, and not that I'm talking trash to, people that are very into that did that for Britain. Thank you for your service. But like, seriously, man, come on, man. You don't think the guy out there with the British 303 did a little bit more than you did? I'm just saying, like, come on, man. That guy fucking busted his ass out there for you, and you're over here with an unprovable tangent, or cosine or...
Yeah, I mean, and, the road to hell is paved with good intentions and, clowns. But...
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like,
so many clowns.
That specific example of Dion Fortune and her peeps, like, fucking doing that, conjuring up, magical energy to help the war effort. I really think that was more for their own, that's how they dealt, basically. And if they felt like they were contributing to a degree, good, that's...
I don't think the British Ministry of Defense was going to be upset about them trying to psychically defend London, I
mean, that's more, I don't know. I consider that more into the realm of like spirituality and religious practice as opposed to art necessarily. But art, man, just all I can say is the best way and only way really to take what's inside of you and externalize it into the fucking world is through art. And once again, you're better for it. And
it's
everyone out there, fucking, I don't care how old you are, follow your fucking dream, man. Shine on, you crazy diamonds.
85 years old, do it.
Yeah. Get up and fucking do the jitterbug. I don't give a shit.
I gotta catch the next train to Charleston. Chew. God damn it. Let's do this.
Outside of doing art, sometimes, to do art, I feel weird even fucking phrasing it that way, but to pursue these things you want to pursue, it does oftentimes take a lot of fucking money. And, one of the ways to get that money is fucking advertising. What's Spotify, are you listening? Anyways, so Wells had a lot of, as we said, projects he was trying to pursue, and funding was a large issue with that. And this is where we get into the latter years of Orson's struggles. And this is why a lot of people, I think, remember him for a lot of this stuff more so than the awesome genius things he did beforehand. Transformers was awesome. And, these things that you want to, I don't know, I'm rarely at this point. Let's just say that we've got some examples here of some of the stuff that Mr. Wells had to do in order to finance his dreams. First up, I believe, is the infamous, I'm sure most people have seen or heard or know something a little bit about this particular clip that we're about to play. This is the infamous Orson Welles Paul Masson wine commercial outtakes. And it goes a little something like this. Actually, right now, we have a lost commercial of Orson Welles visiting the drive-thru of a Burger King. It goes a little something like this.
So I'm Burger King.
Yes, I heard this is the Burger King, but I can have it my way. Now, prepare for my order, for if you get it wrong, there will be regicide upon your precious Burger King. Are you listening? Yes, prepare. I would like 4, not quarter pounders, but 3/7 burgers. 4 of them. 4. I would also like all of those burgers to have chicken nuggets on them. Chicken nuggets. Include with my order a chocolate shake mixed with a quantum of Paul Masson wine. And that is all. I'm not quite sure what you're saying to me, but it sounds correct enough. And I'm not so hungry. Do you take dinars? I've recently come back from Yugoslavia. Yes, fine. I will pay your pittance, for I'm so still hungry. Yes, I have your money. Let me see if I can work on your tip. I might have some extra change in the folds of my belly. Burger King, get it your way, as I always get my way.
And so, yeah, whatever you thought of that, I think what most people are really here for are the infamous Orson Welles commercial outtakes.
Yes, what an infamous dramatization of what we imagined.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure it will be quite infamous. Yeah, so we've got 2 audio clips we would like to leave out on. The first is going to be the master himself doing several voiceover Mark, hold on. The first clip is going to be the master himself working on some voiceover projects, followed by, I believe, the infamous Paul Masson wine commercial. We're going to play out on those and let you guys hear them. They're pretty fucking special, I think.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and that, you know what? I really hope that you try to reenact those commercials yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars figures.
How so?
You reenact it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, for everybody here today, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
I'm J-Lo.
And thank you for hanging out with us in the bunker. And
We love making this show, and we love that you, well, not necessarily love it, but tolerate it. Appreciate that. By the way,
tell
before
your
we leave,
friends.
yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, contact us at facebook.com/Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts. That's A&D spelled out. If you would like to send us an email, send that to Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast at gmail.com. And finally, if you'd like to check out our website, that will be kooks-cranks-and-iconoclasts.com. Thanks for coming by. We had as much fun making it as we hope you did listening to it. Love you,
And
folks.
just so you know, we're the show that does what you know, and what you don't know is that we do more to research and shit. Shit.
Sometimes simultaneously.
We all recorded this on our own individual toilets. Yeah. They don't know. They can't see.
I actually have toilet for lovers, so
They don't know. Oh, the lover's toilet. Yeah.
We have toilet mutes.
They don't know that I'm actually taking a dump right now. Anyways,
It's quite beautiful.
yeah. Isn't it? It's
international
perfectly
crowd,
natural.
thank you. America, thank you. And God,
Love you. Good night. Roll that beautiful bean footage. We'll see you next week. folks.
don't forget the B-sides, baby.
Just do anything?
No, sorry, cut. Yeah, rolling. 102, take 2.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
102, take 3. Action, please.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. Do you really mean that?
Yeah, so in other words, I'd start half a second late.
Don't you think you really want to say July over the snow? Isn't that the fun of it?
If you can make it almost when that shot disappears, it'll make my...
I think it's so nice that you see a snow-covered field and say every July peas grow there. We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there. We aren't even in the fields, you see. We're talking about them growing, and she's picked them.
Yeah.
What?
On in July.
I don't understand you then. What must be over for July?
When we get out of that snowy field.
When I was out, we were onto a can of peas, a big dish of peas when I said in July.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, always. I'm always past that.
You are.
Yes, well, that's about where I say in July.
You emphasize a bit in July.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. Sorry. There's no known way of saying an English sentence in which you begin a sentence with in and emphasize it. Get me a jury and show me how you can say in July, and I'll go down on you. That's just idiotic, if you'll forgive me by saying so. That's just stupid. In July. I'd love to know how you emphasize in July. Impossible. Meaningless.
I think all they were thinking about was that they didn't want to...
He isn't thinking.
Wilson, can we just do one last...
Yeah?
It was my fault. I said in July. If you can leave every July.
You didn't say it. He said it. Your friend. Every July? No, you don't really mean every July. But that's bad copy. It's in July. Of course it's every July. Too much directing around here. Norway. Fish fingers, Findus, Norway. We know a certain fjord in Norway, near where the cod gather in great shoals. There, Jan Stangeland.
fraction more on that shoals thing, because you roll it around very nicely.
Yeah, roll it around and I have no more time. You don't know what I'm up against. Because it's full of things that are only correct because they're grammatical, but they're tough on the ear. You see, this is a very wearying one. It's unpleasant to read. Unrewarding. Because Findus freeze the cod at sea and then add a crumb crisp coating. That's tough, crumb crisp coating. I think, no, because of the way it's written, you need to break it up, because it's not as conversationally written. What?
Take crumb out.
Take crumb out. Good. Here under protest is beef burgers. We know a little place in the American far west where Charlie Briggs chops up the finest prairie-fed beef and tastes. This is a lot of shit, you know that. You want one more?
Yeah.
More on what, beef?
You missed the first beef, actually, completely.
What do you mean missed it?
You're emphasizing prairie-fed.
But you can't emphasize beef. That's like he's wanting me to emphasize in before July. Come on, fellas, you're losing your heads. I wouldn't direct any living actor like this in Shakespeare. Will you do this? It's impossible.
Orson, you did 6 last year, and by far and away the best, and I know the reason.
The right reading for this is the one I'm giving it.
At the moment.
I spent 20 times more for you people than any other commercial I've ever made. You are such pests. Now, what is it you want?
No, I think
in your depths of your ignorance, what is it you want? Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it.
That was absolutely fine. It really was.
You didn't worth it. No money is worth it.